This is greytFM, a podcast series by greytHR, produced by Timber Media.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to greytFM. Ahalya here, keeping you company as we bring you another conversation. It's really important for us to just keep on keeping on when it comes to these podcasts because the world of HR has got us on our toes. Now, as we discussed in one of our previous episodes with Kunal Wadhwani, the Middle East is a space that is rapidly evolving. It's throwing up brand new challenges as well as opportunities. And in the midst of it all, can you guess the one role or profile that has to evolve equally as quickly? I'll give you a second to think. Yeah, the CHRO, of course. An interesting article on People Matters cites findings from Russell Reynolds Associates' recently released Global CHRO Turnover Index, revealing, and I quote, CHRO turnover is starting to stabilize, suggesting that companies around the globe are prioritizing retention of their HR leaders to help navigate ongoing talent shortages and market uncertainties, end quote. But interestingly, only 36% of CHROs were promoted internally in Q2, a sharp drop from 56% last year as organizations increasingly seek seasoned external leaders. First-time CHROs, get this, also declined, with only 40% being newcomers to the role compared to 52% in the same period of 2023. So what's the role of the CHRO in the Middle East? Who's best suited to fill these shoes, and what does it take to be a successful CHRO in today's Middle Eastern work landscape? You know what? I think it's important to talk to someone who has really walked the talk and done the successful CHRO bit. I'm talking about Ghada Salah, who is joining us today as a CHRO and board member at Batha Engineering Group. She is a very well-recognized HR leader. I'm going to sprinkle in all of her achievements throughout the conversation, but first, let's welcome her to the podcast. Hi, Ghada. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Hello, Ali. How are you doing? Thank you very much. I'm really so excited to be with you, and thank you very much for having me.
Yes, you were saying before the recording that this is a conversation that really needs to be had, and I'm so glad we can have it on greytFM. And no one better than you to be talking to us about this, Ghada. I mean, you've been recognized as HR Director of the Year 2024 at the HR M&E Excellence Awards. You've got such a keen eye for workforce planning, succession development, the entire spectrum of the CHRO role, right? So very excited to have you on the podcast, and let's dive right into it. I want to start by unpacking a statement that was made at the HR Summit and Expo, the HRSE, which is the Middle East's largest HR conference and exhibition. So this was by Emma Davies, again, a well-known HR leader in the Middle East and someone who's been a guest on our podcast as well. She said that we need to unlearn everything that we have done before, referring to CHROs. But in the context of the role, what does this mean, right? Why do CHROs in the Middle East specifically need to change the rules they're playing by? Is this like a pan-geographical phenomenon, or is it specific to the ME?
Okay, so first let me start by introducing myself. So I've been almost more than 2 decades in HR, where most of the time here in UAE, so considered within the Middle East, where the pace of change is both restless and inspiring at the same time. So what I love about the CHRO role is that there's no 2 days ever look the same. So one day you are shaping board level business strategy, the next day you are listening to employee story that can change how you see things. So it's the role that blends business, people, and purpose. And especially in the Middle East, with all the transformation is happening, it feels like we are co-writing a new playbook. And with CHRO, you cannot rely on yesterday's playbook. The rules have to change. We need to unlearn rigid policies, the concept of one-size-fits-all approaches, the idea that HR is just transactional. I'll give an example, your phone. If you don't delete old apps, you will never have a space to update or to add new sophisticated apps. So unlearning is about freeing ourselves from the comfort of this is how we've been doing it, and it's a message you keep hearing a lot in the transformation journey, so we can be able to embrace agility, innovation, and truly become people-first strategies.
Amazing. That's a really good launch point for us in the conversation because, we've been discussing the developments and the rapid growth that we're witnessing in the Middle East on the podcast. But when it comes to this region, right, I wonder, has there been a shift in the investment that is being poured into human capital and also the way the human capital's value is being perceived? Of course, that perception directly links to a CHRO's evolution as well, right? Of course, at the end of the day, you are the people that we need to turn to when it comes to people management. So what's changed, and have CHROs really had to drive this shift, or do they still need to drive it? Do they need to reiterate the importance of human capital and its strength?
Yes, massively. Human capital is no longer seen as a cost. It's a growth driver. We have seen nationalization agendas in the region like Emiratization, Saudization, that push companies to rethink talent strategies. Skilling programs are now on par with infrastructure projects. Not long ago, HR budgets were mainly about payroll and compliance. Today, we are talking AI-powered learning academies, wellness program, leadership labs. So CHROs are not asking for investment anymore. They are making business case that talent is the investment. And CEOs are very well aware of that. With the scarce of pool talent within the region, it becomes mandatory, this investment.
The word mandatory is quite important, right? It is important to view it as that. It's something you can't do without, really. From your own experience as a CHRO, what has been the biggest challenge in today's work landscape in the Middle East, whether it's related to the fact that human capital has to be valued, what are the kind of challenges you're facing on a daily basis?
Okay, so I've been in HR transformation for more than 15 years, mainly HR transformation. And I always believe that every challenge is an opportunity. So if I will think only the biggest challenge, I will say balancing the speed of transformation with the culture sensitivity in the Middle East. But our opportunity, especially in UAE, is leveraging diversity, youth, and also rapid tech adoption to build future-ready workforce. It feels like running a marathon at a sprint speed, but here in the Middle East, the workforce is young, ambitious, hungry. And I always use this statement everywhere I go, that the challenge is space, but the opportunity is the potential.
I really like that way of looking at it, but could you maybe talk to us a little bit more about that thought that you put on the table, which is balancing the speed of transformation with culture, right? Ghada, I think that's such a powerful idea. So I'd love to explore that a little bit more. If you could talk to us about how you're managing to strike that balance.
So I'll tell you what, especially I'll take example is the UAE. So the UAE is a diverse culture. You have people from all over the world living as a family in here working. You see this in schools, you see it in the office, you see it in the streets, in the malls, and everywhere. So that's why I'll go back to my first statement, not every size fit all. That's why your strategy has to have this culture sensitivity embedded in. So we want to run fast. UAE has grown massively in the past 20 years. So when I came here in 2006 and looking at now, we are in totally new country, and with the speed of project and the speed of building, HR has to hustle behind with the people strategy to be able to cope. Yes, we sometimes be a little bit behind giving the sensitivity, but the most important thing is that when we tailor our strategy, it addresses every person in the organization, including gender, including also tenure in the organization, including age. So yes, it becomes a challenge, but again, I see it as an opportunity because we build on this diversity to make a successful workplace.
Yeah, and identifying the opportunities is also such an important part of the CHRO role, but really any leadership role, right? And
Yes.
I wonder, alongside this balance of transformation with culture, are there any other opportunities that you would recommend all of the HR professionals listening in, leaders listening in to us right now, keep their eye on when it comes to the Middle East? Anything else that you want to call out?
I will not use this cliche statement is people is our asset, because they are not asset anymore. They are the company. They are, I always use the word, the blood, the flow of the blood is the people. So if I will take one thing and try to cascade it to the CHRO, it's not looking after people, is actually trying to grow those people, because taking care and retention, I have to say, it's becoming something that is a must built in, but is growing them is very important, because when we invest in growing them, being effort, being technology, being processes, not only the standard development of training, this is where the company flourish before even the people.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. And I want to kind of pivot the conversation a little bit into technology and AI, because how can we possibly have a discussion about HR without talking about those two things? How has that really impacted, like, just take your own experience, right, Ghada? How has it impacted the way that you view your job? Has technology played a huge transformative role in your own perception of the CHRO?
So, given that I have been in the region here for almost 18, 19 years, I have to say that the pace of the country is growing faster than the companies. So companies were very busy building up, making money, and they suddenly find themselves growing very big while they don't have the right infrastructure for the people. So in my past 10 to 12 years experience, every time I join a company, the HR is swamped with admin work, and technology frees HR from admin and let them focus on people. Only if we use it wisely, of course. The big considerations are ethical AI, data-driven decision-making, personalization, and using tools that are, again, fit for purpose, not just shiny glam of the word using AI, ChatGPT. It's actually, I can feel that it's been abused by people those days, and companies has to wake up and put some restrictions about it. AI can even indicate who might be at risk of leaving before they know it themselves. But only if we handle that data with responsibly. You find people uploading company confidential data on ChatGPT to get reports, analysis, which is very risky. And also using it in communication internally within emails. Previously, we used to have one or two lines email. After ChatGPT, you receive maybe 10 pages emails from one person, and they start responding to each other using ChatGPT. So you end up having a file of 15, 20 pages of emails that you even cannot, you don't have time to read. So technology is key, but again, it's a double-sided weapon, and the best CHROs won't be coders or tech experts. They will be translators, turning this data into human impact and making it beneficial for people and for the company.
I really like that. So you're essentially saying that it's important to use technology as a support tool to drive human impact at the end of the day. So not to let that goalpost sort of shift, right? Which makes sense for a chief human resources officer, right?
That's why we're here.
That's why you're here, exactly. Another development that has been very fascinating and also really lovely to see play out is, when it came to the C-suite initially, right? People always thought, okay, I want to be a CEO, I want to be a CFO, I want to be, any CXO. But now CHRO has started holding so much power as well. We've talked a lot about how they have become in the C-suite a strategic partner that bridges leadership with the very people that are the company, like you said, right? It's a very important role in today's day and age, in today's work landscape. I wonder, how has that role of strategic partner played out in the context of the Middle East? Is that, again, something you're seeing increasingly? And is it a bit more different, the CHRO's role in the Middle East?
So I have to say that we had to fight our way to demand a seat on the table. Because HR in the Middle East 20 years back was like an admin. It's a personnel function to process paperwork and requests. But when the company started to growing in the Middle East, specifically in the GCC, there was a need for someone to come and advise about people, because it becomes difficult to source people more than sourcing materials. So yes, in this region, CHROs now sit at the board table driving its strategy, not just supporting it. Whether it's workplace planning for mega project like NEOM, for example, in Saudi, shaping the legacy of Expo in UAE, or aligning with the new industries, people's strategies, is business strategy, and talent is the real fuel for growth in the Middle East. We are lucky in this region to be able to have not only young, motivated, very well educated. Education in the Middle East is mandatory. It's not something optional. This is not anywhere in other regions like the Middle East. So the CHRO seat at the table isn't about asking for permission anymore. It's shaping the agenda and shaping the business success. So the Middle East is a diverse region with large expatriate population, unique cultures, and with CHRO, the role is fostering inclusiveness, harmonizing work environment that respect local customs, and at the same time integrating with global talent. They also help the business navigate regional complexities. Imagine if the HR was only a personnel department during COVID time, how companies would have survived? Right. HR stepped up in every company during COVID because it was not an option. It was how you're going to manage your human capital through this disaster that everyone has been on, and it was something totally new for the Middle East and the world, of course. So focusing also as well on employee experience and well-being, it's something new to them. When I say new, it started 20 years back. To attract and retain top talent in such a competitive market, CHROs are increasingly focused on such employee experience concept. This including promoting mental health and well-being, offering flexible work arrangement, creating a compelling employer brand. All these concepts was not there. And because of the role of the CHRO and the advancement of the HR strategies, those became part of the agenda and part of the HR budget, where CEOs cannot discuss or reject anymore if they want to flourish.
Absolutely. I think there's some changes, pivotal changes coming our way that we just, like you said, cannot afford to ignore. I do want to also explore the coordination aspect of it all, as we've, emphasized throughout the conversation. Clearly, a CHRO's work day in, day out is working with people, right? Whatever level that might be within the organization. Now, when you look at groups of people like you've got in GCCs, for us in India, we're seeing an unprecedented boom. And then, of course, there's this cross-border coordination that has to be done because the Middle East really has to navigate a lot of that, right? So how does the CHRO's role kind of come up there? Am I amiss in trying to draw a connection there?
No, there's always connection. So I would say, if I will talk about the GCC brings scale, but they also bring complexity. Diverse regulations, culture, and workforce dynamic. So it's a bit like conducting an orchestra. Each country has its own rhythm, but the CHRO ensures it all come together as one symphony. So that's why the CHRO of tomorrow must be both a logical navigator and a global strategist. I've been working and applying Lean Six Sigma concepts for years now. And I have to say that this globalization is actually affecting people's strategies more than companies. CHRO is no longer just a local culture custodian, but a global architect. They must design and implement cohesive corporate culture that bridge the headquarters in the Middle East with the GCC in India or elsewhere. This involves identifying universal values. We have to respect the local culture, ensuring that employees, for example, in Bangalore, feel as connected to the company mission as the employees sitting in Dubai or Riyadh office. With GCC, talent is the global pool. So CHR also have a big role to play in evolving to strategically manage this international workforce. I feel a primary focus function for GCC is to drive efficiency and innovation as well. So CHRO need to make sure that it's happening by ensuring there is a unified digital infrastructure for HR processes, from payroll to onboarding to learning and development. So lots of things that need to be considered. So in essence, the CHRO act like a central hub, connecting the strategic goals of the Middle East headquarters with the operational power of the GCC. They ensure that people, processes, and culture are aligned to function as single, efficient global entity.
Absolutely. And, as we reach the end of the conversation, I also do want to check in with you about two priorities that have traditionally been very important for the HR function, that is DEI and ESG, right? In the Middle
Yes.
East, give us a little bit of an idea of what the picture is looking like, because, we're all aware of the larger political, socio-political climate that we've been dealing with. As a CHRO, as an HR leader, what is this function's role in setting and driving those priorities looking like in the Middle East?
Okay, so those two concepts are not anymore nice to have. They are central to reputation, compliance, and talent attraction. So let's take DEI, for example. Yani, we must look beyond gender. So when you say diversity, it was male and female long ago. Now it's not. There's multiple diversity and inclusion that we need to keep in mind. If I will say generation diversity, we now have baby boomers to Gen Z working side by side. So different generation bring unique perspective, work styles, and skills. So Gen Z, for example, may drive digital fluency and innovation, while older generation contribute to deep industry knowledge and experience and leadership maturity. You have also cultural diversity. So in the Middle East, multicultural workforce is there. This spark creativity and problem solving. So this will enhance also the creativity and will ensure cross-border collaboration by bringing multiple perspectives to the table. For example, a team with diverse culture perspective may better serve goal like a global client and innovation for broader markets. I will say also something that I started applying a couple of years back is the neurodiversity. People that have different types of brain functioning and cognitive processing like ADHD, autism, and dyslexia, which often come with unique strengths as well, like creativity and focus and pattern recognition. So we need to go beyond gender diversity. If I will take the other part, which is ECG, one of the closest topic to my heart, it's about embedding sustainability into the employee value proposition, like green offices, volunteering opportunities. Ethical governance is not only compliance checklists, they are employee. This is why employees choose to stay. I face this a lot when it comes to recruitment and attracting and retaining talent. People now ask in the interview, what is your contribution when it comes to sustainability? So today employees choose company the way consumers choose brand. They want purpose, they want impact, they want inclusivity. HR is the engine that turns DEI and ECG from slogans into life experience.
That's such a wonderful note to end the conversation on. I think it is very valuable, the passion with which we started the conversation by saying we need a new playbook. Well, I think you've given us the first couple of pages of that new playbook in today's conversation. So thank you so much for being here with us and taking us through all of that. As we reach the end, I want to, leave the floor open to you to give all of the HR professionals out there listening one message, because there's so many of them that are obviously aspiring to be CHROs one day, right? So what would you like to say to them when it comes to that aspiration?
First of all, the role of CHRO in the Middle East isn't just evolving, it's accelerating. We are no longer the function that supports change, we are the function that drives it. Whether it's a digital maturity, AI, ESG, or even national talent agenda, we sit at the intersection of people and performance. And my encouragement to every HR leader listening to this, don't be afraid to unlearn old habits. Experiment with new tools, and most importantly, bring joy. For me, joy is very important. We need to bring joy back to the employee and to the employee experience, because when people love where they work, they don't just stay, they thrive. And that's how business wins. So thank you very much for the wonderful conversation. And I look forward to continuing to learn and grow with this amazing HR community.
Thank you so much for being with us, Ghada. Pleasure was all ours having you on the podcast. And I'm sure every one of you listening has taken so much away from the conversation. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back with another episode very soon.
This is greytFM, a podcast series by greytHR. Produced by Timber Media.